organization, Catherine, we talked a little bit about this. But I learned through my own regimes how to deal with this. But I had a mother and a family that absolutely continued to, in every single aspect of my life, reinforce my confidence in every other way. It's true, Joey, the reason you stutter is because you're so smart. You just can't get it out quickly enough. I knew it wasn't true, but I felt better for saying it. Joey, you're the most handsome boy in school. What the hell does that have to do with stuttering? Nothing. You're a great athlete. Joey, nobody is smarter than you, and nobody is better than you. You're no better than anybody else, but no one's better than you. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we underestimate, I don't know what from the standpoint of the science these days, Catherine, but I think it matters. I think it matters that we don't lose these kids in terms of their self-image of themselves early on. And so you parents, if I may respectfully suggest, dealing with a child who stutters, do everything in the world to let them know you know that's not the definition of who they are. And don't fixate on it for them. They know. Help them in every way. Now some of you won't be like my mother, who's 91 years old and lives with Jill and me. A sweet Irish Catholic lady named Catherine Eugenia Finnegan Biden, who's about 5'1", and as my friend and great, one of the best speech coaches, I think the best speech coach in America, Michael Sheen, will tell you, is the sweetest lady in the world. I'm going to end with a story you may appreciate. One of the great advantages I had was I went to a small Catholic grade school with the nuns, the so-called dreaded nuns, but they were people who would tell me that I could do whatever I wanted to do and reinforce me, except one nun in 7th grade. And one of the things stutters will tell you is, it teaches you to be extemporaneous, it teaches you to memorize, it teaches you to anticipate, and it teaches you an awful lot of things. In truth, in my darkest days, I would not trade my stuttering today for what it's taught me and what it's made me. Because it's been the single most beneficial thing that's ever happened to me, having overcome it. Because if you want to understand, we have an expression in my family. This is not a joke. You never call a fat person fat. You're not allowed ever to say anything about anyone that's true, if in fact it is demeaning, under any circumstance. Never. And until you've been on the other end of the humiliation, it's awfully hard to fully understand and appreciate the depth of the hurt that people feel. And I think it's taught me a lot. One of the things I learned, you're going to hear from a truly great entertainer tonight. Shane is going to speak, and I read his bio, and it said his speech therapist said that singing was a way to deal with this. Well, my nuns didn't know that, but they did know that singers tended not to stutter, so they taught me in reading. In Catholic school, you read and wrote in order, and you know which paragraph you're going to read, and you sit in alphabetical order. And they taught me to learn how to read this way, to get in cadence to what I was doing so that I would not lose control and be able to do it. And I got to 7th grade, and there was a nun named Sister Janet, as my mother would say, God bless her soul. And I'll never forget, as vividly as it did yesterday, that in my household, if you were chastised by a nun or a priest in the Catholic school I went to, you got chastised at home, right? Not a joke. But this particular day, we were reading, and I looked down, and I knew I was going to read the 7th paragraph. And so I memorized it quickly. My colleagues give me credit for knowing an awful lot of Irish poetry. The reason I learned Irish poetry, I stood in front of the mirror in my bedroom with my 2 brothers at night, looking at the mirror because I was embarrassed. I would contort my my face, and I practice. Meek young men grow up in libraries believing it's their duty to accept the views of Cicero, Bacon, and Locke. So this day, having mastered by that time the ability to memorize very quickly, I memorized my paragraph, because I don't know about you all who stutter. I'd look at the page and freeze. I'd look at a word and freeze. And I said, and Sir Walter Raleigh laid his cloak upon